What's up, YouTube? Welcome back for part 13 of the STI build. I've gone ahead and done a couple little things off camera in between last video and this one. Just some things that were a little bit tight fitting, and I also got the parts that I needed to continue on. So the this oil pressure fitting, the Subaru one wouldn't work. Tyler ended up getting the Pro Sport one, and I did get it installed. But now that it is installed, it's very difficult to see in there. It's really tight. I've gone ahead and put the bypass hose in, which kind of covers over top of it. But there you can see the connector. And there's a little coolant throttle body hose, this one right here. And I actually shortened it at the other end to get it onto the pipe a little further to create a little bit more clearance in there, you can see. And I mean, it's tight. It's definitely got some room. It's not going to cause a problem. It's not going to rub on anything. So I had to take off the throttle body to get that all in there. And now that the bypass hose is all in, I threaded on some bolts for the turbo. And I do have the longer bolts that I need to get the intake all bolted on. So I think that's where I'm going to start with the intake manifold. Go ahead and see here I've got one of the bolts already in place. I don't have it torqued. I just wanted to make sure that I could check the length on it and make sure I can get a socket on there as well. So I'll start with the intake manifold, tighten it up, and tighten the turbo up. Expansion tank for the coolant needs to be bolted into place, but I can't do that yet because I need to torque those bolts for the intake. We need to take off this wastegate actuator and change it for the holding rod. So a few things. Let's just jump right into it. So I'm ready to torque all the intake bolts. 18.4 foot-pounds goes up to 220.8 inch-pounds. So I'm going to go to like 222. And inside to outside. So I'll start over here. And then I'll come over to the other side and do it. And because the outside bolts are actually now 13 millimeter, I've got to switch up my socket. And I'll tighten the turbo down as well, 32 foot-pounds. Now I can go ahead and put this little expansion tank back into place. Now with the wastegate out of the way, I'll go and install this holding bracket or holding rod that you can actually adjust to put a lot of back pressure on the wastegate door to hold it shut. Because we'll be using an external wastegate, so we don't need the internal one anymore. So the bracket bolts basically in the factory position. Then the adjusting rod goes right where the actuating rod would go, and you just tighten it up till you have a lot of back holding pressure on there, and it's installed. Pretty easy. So the best way to do this, make sure you can adjust this end. Keep the bracket bolts finger tight so the bracket will actually move just a slight tiny bit. And you want to see how far down this will go onto the actual arm that controls the actuator door. You want to start cranking this in till it gets rather tight to go on. Like right here it won't, so I'll back it off one, and right about there it'll actually go on really tight. Took a little bit of force to push down, so maybe I'll go half thread more and just see if I can get this to go on, and it will. So if I tighten this bracket, it might pull on this a couple thousandths of an inch, and really give a good pull shut on that door, and nothing will leak through. So this is almost ready to go. All you have to do is tighten this, tighten the bracket, and install the clip. Now, mostly everything along in the back here is already done. The oil line's already fastened. The coolant line's fastened here. Another coolant line up top here is done. The turbo's completely bolted on. The returns line's all finished. So we're really getting close in the back here. There's a couple connectors just to keep in mind. That one cam position sensor back there. This actuator. Of course, we've got these two connectors for the ignition coils, which will be going next. A couple small connectors in behind this little plastic shield for another cam position sensor and actuator. Same kind of thing here over on the other side. Two connectors here, another for the actuator there, position sensor there, and the coil wires, which I'm going to end up doing next. So one of my viewers and Instagram followers, he mentioned he was having trouble getting an ignition coil back into place after doing a tune-up, and there can be a little trick to these. Just so everyone can see is, of course, there's the threads that we want to thread into, but these coils have this brass fitting in it, and the brass fitting also has threads, so that you can actually wind the bolt all the way to the other side. But when threading these back into the head, it's always best to have these completely threaded through the coil so it's all completely loose. If it's slightly threaded into the brass collar and you have it installed and you're pushing on it, this could misalign it and make you feel like that you've got it started properly when you're actually cross-threaded. So always best to have these loose, feel the hole, and slowly jiggle it into place, and you'll get it every time. And of course, this can be a little bit trickier with the engine installed in the car. Coils are torqued to 11.8 foot-pounds. I've got my torque wrench set to 140 inch-pounds. Go ahead and plug in the coils. So it's the following morning. I didn't do much else, pretty much just sat on the air oil separator. I don't know exactly where these hoses are going yet. I do have photos of where they did go, and there may be a change or two, I'm not quite sure yet, so I'm just going to leave that for when it's sitting in the car. And same with up here in the front with the Z-BAP solenoid. It needs to be plugged in, whether I got to extend the wiring to it. And I've got like the crank sensor plugged in, the oil pressure switch, the high pressure power steering switch, boost control solenoid and stuff. So I mean, this bracket will probably get mounted back in, but I got to see what kind of space we have after getting stuff back together. It might be easier just to leave that bracket out of there and kind of zip tie stuff out of the way so it's not as noticeable when you open up the hood. Keep it a little cleaner looking. We need to get it off of the stand and get it onto the crane, so we can do the last couple things in the back here, like put on this wrist pin cover, the one for the inside, the plug for the inside, the air like the air separator plate, the rear main seal, the clutch. So before I do that, I need to clean this garage. It's a complete mess. The car is going to have to come back in, so this bench needs to be cleaned. All the tools are going to have to be put away. A couple of these boxes out of the way. Some of the garbage out of the way. And once that's all finished, then I can put the engine back on the crane. So I'm not going to waste your time. Let's just get ahead and So as you can see, I've got the place pretty cleaned up. Things are kind of pushed to the side. I got my, the old block all kind of wrapped up with the oil pan in there. Got all the tools put away. The engine is prepared to be slung from the crane, and that's where I'm going next. So yeah, I'm just gonna use my seatbelt, strap it onto the block, let it hang. I am gonna put it back onto the Napa bucket and just lower it down. Everything in the back all finished. Got this wrist pin cover put in, the wrist pin plug in behind this separator cover, the separator cover. If you noticed, I had pointed out this black bolt. You want thread locker on this bolt. That's what it says in the manual, and then when they sell you the actual bolts, this one just happens to be the hardened bolt with lock threader on it. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. But make sure you get a good displacement of that RTV going around there. Just using your fingers best, and when you get it clamped up, you'll see very little of it coming out of the other side. But as long as that's torqued on properly, you get a really good seal. And I find just putting a little bit, maybe just a little glaze extra along the bottom, certainly helps from any leaks in the future. So we're ready to put on the flywheel next. I get the rear main seal put in, and the flywheel, you just want to make sure that you do have your pilot bearing already in there. You can put it in afterwards, but just don't forget it, because that could be a bad mistake. Flywheel's really tight fitting on there, so I just you want to make sure it's on reasonably straight, or it'll cause you to cross thread your bolts. If a bolt doesn't want to take, just move on to another hole, and you might even want to start slowly cranking in some of these bolts to actually straighten out the flywheel so the other ones will start. You don't want to force them in there. These are not threads you want to cross thread. So now it's time to torque these bolts. They're go in sequence. So we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just a crisscross star pattern. And I like to go around one more time just to make sure that I've got them all snugged at the same torque. On the other end of the crank, I have my bar 22mm holding the crank pulley bolt so the crankshaft won't turn. So I've had the clutch out of the box, and I kind of did a little display and took an Instagram photo, and not even realizing, looking at the photo, posting the photo, the unboxing of the clutch, whether I had it out of the box when I actually did the unboxing of all the parts. Tyler's missed it, but that's the wrong clutch. So that's gonna set things back again. Kind of hoping that maybe he can get one ordered and get it here quickly so that it's ready for this next video. So I'm just going to hold off for a bit. This might not be the ending yet. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, it kind of sucks that the video is going to have to end now, because the clutch is definitely the wrong one. That is a push style clutch. We need a pull style clutch. I looked up the part number. It's basically for a WRX. I checked with Tyler. He shows ordering the right part number, so someone's shipped them the wrong part number, which is kind of a disappointment. And it's too bad that he didn't catch it. The person shipping didn't catch it. And then when I opened the box, I actually didn't notice that it was, you know, a push style clutch as opposed to a pull style. So it can happen in actually in the shop. You know, it can pass through a bunch of hands, and you can get the wrong part just by missing one number on the part number, and you get the wrong item. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to get a clutch. I need it as soon as possible. You know, I just basically got to fold up this table and push the engine a little bit ahead, and I'll be able to pull the car in. There's a few other things I do have to do to the car, so maybe that's where I'll end up going next. And that includes like the battery relocation. I've got to do the gauges. The front bumper needs to come off because we're putting in an intercooler. So yeah, there's a bunch of work still to do. And I might as well just continue on with it while I'm waiting for parts. I really wanted to get the engine in first, but if I can do something else, then I will. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.